Hello, it's me, Robert Gregson. There's a series of videos on here for people learning to play keyboards and how to set them all up and all this. So refer to all my other videos. This particular one is all about practicing. Now you'll probably find that your child plays your keyboard that you buy him for Christmas for so many months, and then they get fed up and they pack it all in. And there's a lot of videos some videos I've put on explaining how they should learn to play the notes and do it properly so they don't get bored. But the thing is, they do need to practice. And I used to teach music as well. I used to teach keyboard. And I found that a lot of people, different sorts of people that practice in different ways. Now the one that worked for me is actually saying that you need to practice for at least 2 hours a week doing your tunes. And you need to keep going back on the tunes you've already learnt. Now this is all very well, but if you're the sort of parent that says, right, every Friday night at 2 o'clock you're going to play the keyboard, it will just become a chore for your child, and they'll get fed up and they won't bother doing it. But you've got to try to get it so they fit it in when they want to do it, sometime in the week. But make sure at the end of the week, if they haven't practiced, then you can sit them down and say, now come on, get on with it and practice because you haven't practiced this week. And eventually they get into their routine of at least putting a couple of hours in when they want to, so they can come home from school, they can go off playing football or something in a club or whatever they're into. But when they come back, they might say, right, I'm going to now go on the keyboard for an hour to learn the tune. And they have to keep going over the tunes over and over again. And once they've learnt it, move on to the next one and start all over again learning that one. And learn with the right hand first, learn the melody first. And get used to playing the melody of the song. And once you get used to the melody and they get used to flowing it and they're learning the notes and they can play it with the right hand, then they can start putting the chords in with the left hand. Now I'm going to do a video I have done one about the basic 3 chords. I'm just going to do another one showing how to go, what all the other chords are, basically how to find the other chords. So I'll explain that in the other video. But they practice with the right hand first, and when they get smooth enough and they've learnt the tune, then they can start putting the chords in, and then they put the whole tune together, and then they get the timing right with the beat, because obviously the beat will be on when they're playing the chords. And once they get the timing right, they can move on to the next one, and they do it again with the right hand and then the left hand. And eventually, after a few years, they'll know the notes so well, and they'll be able to pick the tunes up a lot quicker. And so then you start moving on to say, well, now I know my notes and I can read music and I know my chords and I'm more confident. I've been playing for a few years. So instead of just doing the right hand first, you can actually put the 2 in together to start with and learn it that way. And it's a bit harder, but they'll be more confident by then and they'll be used to doing it. And when they feel right and it feels the time that they can do that, then they can do it and they'll pick the tunes up quicker because they're not doing the right hand, they're the left hand, they're doing both hands and doing the whole thing. And that's when they start to really play properly. And they're keeping in time, that's the way to do it. So try to encourage your child to play at least an hour or 2 hours a week. Now there is one problem with this. If you go away on holiday, and people do, Christmas holidays, summer holidays, things like that. If they don't play for a week, say you have 2 weeks off because you're away on holiday, you're going to be at least 3 or 4 weeks behind when you come to play your keyboard again. So you could be learning a tune, and you could have even almost completed the tune, then go away on holiday for a couple of weeks and come back, and it'll be like starting again on that tune again that you were doing. And so they really do have to practice a lot harder that for next week after they come back from a holiday, in order to get back to the level they were at before. Because if you have a week off, it puts you back 2 weeks. And I know this from 10 years of teaching music, years ago when I used to work as a teacher. So basically that's all about practicing. Now when I was young, and I started age 12 playing keyboards, there was no video cameras, and everybody's got cameras on their phones and video cameras now. And really what you should be doing is filming your child playing, even if they're just starting off, especially when they're starting off and they're making mistakes and they're really slow and they're learning the notes and they're struggling. Film it. Don't let them get upset over it. Film them doing it, not all the time. Let them concentrate. And then a few years down, or a few years later, get them to play it again, and they're going to keep going back on these tunes. And so 6 months, a year later, we film it again and let them see it. Put it on YouTube if you want to, and let them see. So whether you look back and say, oh, a year ago I was struggling with that, and now I've improved. and you can still film their progress. So so as they move on through the book, they can look back and say, "Ooh, 5 years ago I couldn't do that, and now look what I'm doing. I can read music, I can do all these things." And it will encourage them more to play even more when they see, by looking at the films, how they were years ago. The earliest film I've got is 1993, an old video film which I've now got on YouTube. And but I've not got anything of me early on practicing. And you'll be surprised at the difference it makes when they can see for themselves that they've learnt something and they're getting better and better and better. And then they'll feel more encouraged to keep playing. And this is what we need, because there's a lot of music shops closing down, and we need more keyboard players so we can bring back the music shops and get more people playing keyboard. And the old organs are fading out now. Everybody's into keyboards, but we need to get more keyboard players. And if you want your child to play, that's the way to do it. And what you shouldn't be doing is just saying, "I want my little child to play the keyboard." If that child isn't interested, he's never going to learn, and you can't force the child to do it. You can't sort of make them do it. If they're not interested, give them a few months, but if they're not showing any sort of interest of practicing and they're not doing it for themselves, then you need to encourage it, but they need to be wanting to do it as well. And if they're just not showing any interest, don't keep pursuing it. And if you keep saying, "Come on, I want you to play, you've got to play," that's not going to help. They've got to say, "Mum, I want to learn to play a keyboard," and then they can practice. And if they want to do it, they'll do it far better. So don't have a strict time every week, because it'll just become a chore. Make sure they practice a couple of hours in the week when they can fit it in, but make sure they do it. And make sure what they're doing, they're actually learning the tune and not just messing about, doing what they're supposed to do. And that's all explained on my other videos. So this is a little bit talking about practicing and the best way to do it for the beginner. Just another little bit, I'm just thinking, if you film your child playing the keyboard from its early stages, and say, I know it's a bit awkward, but every so many months, if you just film them again playing the same tune, and try and keep doing it, try and encourage the filming thing as well, because the one thing that's not on YouTube about any sort of people playing any instruments is it would be nice to see a thing progressing from year to year on somebody learning to play an instrument. So not only does your child then look back after all these years and say, "That was me, age 10 playing, and now I'm 18 and I can play like this, and this was me progressing through the weeks," but other people watching YouTube who are learning to play keyboards or any instruments would also be encouraged by seeing that they can do the same thing. And you can have video blogs as well, and perhaps you get your children interested in doing diaries and video blogs, showing their routine and playing keyboards through the months, and little bits of film of them playing and saying how they've improved. And so they can look back and say, "I've improved, and this was me learning," and they've got a record for themselves when they're older that they can show their own kids and say, "This was me practicing as a little kid." In the future. And other people watching YouTube will also see this, and they can say, "Yeah, they've really improved," and it will encourage other people to play keyboards and other instruments. And nobody's doing this on YouTube at the moment. People are going on and playing a song and going off, but they're not showing how it progresses and how the actual teaching side, the learning side of it. So people will say, "Well, I make mistakes." Well, they made mistakes, but they still improved, and now they're better. And it would encourage far more people to do it. So try and encourage filming, and not every single week, but every so many months down the line, or when they've completed a tune, or they're struggling to do a tune, film it, and then a few months later, when they've learnt the tune, you can film it again, and say, "Look, you did this, you've achieved this, well done." And it will just encourage more people as well, and they'll have something to look back on themselves when they're older. So let's just bear that in mind, because you can do video blogs and YouTube and all these things now, so it would all help a lot of people playing instruments. Okay, well, you take care and enjoy yourselves. Bye.